Hey all. So the second week of Eternity, we have Pain is here, and we have this Ikaris boss. Thing about Ikaris is that a lot of his most dangerous defensive abilities are basically just turned off against Mystic attackers, which is why everyone expected Kabam to ask us through the objectives to take him down with somebody who is not a Mystic. Biggest concerns are that if you hit him with light attacks, he is going to gain energize buffs. As long as he has even one, he gains more power. The rate doesn't go up as long as he has more of them. But the more he has, other effects come up. If he gets to 10, he goes unblockable, which makes the special 2 extremely dangerous. If he has 7 or more, whenever he throws a special, and remember he's going to have a lot of them because of the energize, then he is going to do damage directly to you. I believe it actually is energy damage. I don't want to say that it's direct damage, but you will take the damage whether you get hit or not, is what I'm trying to say. And then if you land a medium on him, you have a limited window to throw a special before you take more damage. On top of that, Kabam made this boss not impossible to stun, but difficult. There's Mighty Charge, so a lot of debuffs don't stick. If he's immune to the stun debuff, if you try to parry him, he goes unstoppable. You do that a few times, he goes unblockable. You have to be careful. And so some of the best counters for this are those who can just lock him down and prevent the specials from happening in the first place. Enter Psylocke. So, yes, I know that this is almost certainly easier with Professor X, but I have always had a soft spot for Psylocke. She was the very first 4-star I ever ground out in an arena, and this fight is also just a good place to talk about AI manipulation. So we're starting out using as many heavies as we can. We're trying to block and then dash at the very last second to try and trick him into throwing a heavy. We are just accepting that because Psylocke gains power at a slower rate, we're going to take that first power detonation from the medium we threw, and we're just not going to worry about it. But where possible, we were throwing heavies before we got him to that first bar. Once we got him to that bar of power, he threw his special and we had a bar of power. Then we could power drain him down to 0, and so now he will not gain any power at all unless we get hit. So the margin for error on this fight is tiny. But technically, if you execute perfectly, it's completely safe. Now, I could be backdrafting this entire time. You will see me do it a couple of times, but on stream, I got about 20% into this, doing a lot of aggressive backdrafting, and then eventually he just floated forward, hit me with a light attack, and because of the way Psylocke works, the longer you have kept an opponent locked down, the harder you are punished for when they do hit you. So when he hit me after, like, I don't know what that was, 3 minutes, he basically instantly went to a special 2 in a single combo, and because of the way we're fighting here, where he is at 10 energize constantly, he went up to a special 2 and immediately threw it and was unblockable. So the fight went from completely under control to over in a split second. That is why I'm playing it more this way. I am evading his dashes and then immediately blocking and ready to dash more. But the idea is that he will throw heavies more often when that happens. We are hitting into his block to maintain space. We don't want to get pushed to the far wall, because while this power detonation is giving us a lot of willpower healing, Psylocke does not block particularly well. And so what we're going for here is safety first, and that means a kind of hybrid approach. We are going to backdraft a couple times, but for the most part we're waiting for clean intercepts where we know he's coming in and we can catch him on his medium, and we're trying to block a lot and stay just out of range so that he tries to catch us with a heavy attack. And whenever that happens, we're going to counter it. Now, the protection is the other thing to keep in mind here. You do have to knock him down periodically in order to do any real damage. But because we're just chaining special 1s, that means we're doing that. Now, You could push up to higher specials, and you will see that I slowly do. But the important thing here is I'm trying not to take damage from power detonation, and so I am pushing it until there's about a third or a quarter of its duration left, is how I'm trying to play it. So even if I get to a bar of power, like right here, I don't throw the special right away because I'm trying to make it so that I have more and more power left over, that I get closer and closer to a special 2 before I throw the special 1, so that the next time maybe I can get to a special 2. Because Psylocke Special 1 does have one significant advantage for this. It has a lot of hits in it, and therefore we are building side charges more rapidly, and that does allow us to throw bigger heavies. However, I was kind of testing this fight as I went, and I did not calculate exactly how much damage those side charges would do when I detonated them. Because that's what you should do in this fight. You should have that number. You should be like, okay, based on the rank and rarity of my Psylocke, like 50 side charges are going to do X amount of damage, which is X% of Ikaris's health. And in the case of mine here, because I've done the math after I finished the fight, I know that 50 charges, just because 50 is a nice clean number, 50 charges would do 17% of Ikaris's health here. So that's what I probably should have built up to. But because I didn't have that number handy, I didn't want to detonate early. Because normally the way that you safely throw Psylocke's heavy is you throw a special 2 like this. It gives you back a bunch of power, and because that power locks the opponent, you then can instantly heavy and then throw your special 1, and because the special 1 will land 5 hits while they are still locked at 0 power, you will gain a side charge, and they will get that Enervate purple icon back and will not gain any power when the power lock, the actual power lock, wears off. That doesn't work here because of Mighty Charge. And so if we were to go for that and mess up, and he wasn't power locked after we threw our heavy, we'd be dealing with an Ikaris with 10 Energize and no way to remove them. Because the only way for Ikaris's Energize to go down is for him to hit you with a special attack. And given that he applies an armor break here, and how high his attack value, we're just going to assume that cannot happen, right? So once I get to the special 2, as with the special 1, I just kept pushing higher and higher before throwing it. And you'll see what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I land a bunch of hits against him while he's still power locked, because the special 3, unlike the special 2, does stun him. And if he's stunned, he can't charge forward, he can't turn on Mighty Charge, and he can't shrug the power lock. But unfortunately, the special 3 also consumes all side charges to power burn the opponent. It's supposed to be a hard way to get them down to 0 power, but that means that it doesn't do any real damage if they are already at 0 power, like Ikaris is here. So the special 3 does not do exactly what we want it to. We can't safely use the special 2 the way we would normally want to, and that means that our basic game plan is the same as it always has been. We're baiting out heavies by trying to stay close and blocking, because that encourages the AI to throw the heavy, because they're like, ha, this'll catch them. They're just blocking. You can see that over and over again here. You will also see from time to time, we do just catch him in a flat-out intercept. I am looking for those openings. That is not just happening luckily. You'll see how we'll dash back a few times, we'll hit his block. See, there's another heavy. There's another heavy. I'm trying to watch for the next intercept. Yeah, see, a lot of heavies if you just keep blocking and baiting it out. There. He dashed forward, he dashed back, there was a split second, and I saw him come back in. We had enough room to cleanly intercept him. That's the kind of thing you can look for, and it doesn't require that quick of reflexes, it doesn't require any luck, it's just, oh, cool, look, my window. And Ikaris does make that slightly easier because, as a flying champion, he really does telegraph when he charges forward. So you can see we're back up to 17 side charges here. Based on our earlier math, that's good for like 5–10% of Ikaris's health. So we're not safe throwing it. We're just going to continue to throw our special 2 here because even though it's not going to do a lot of damage, we need to throw it to remove the power detonation, well, or the special 3. But the other virtue of the special 2 is that as far as keeping the protection shield down, because he reduces damage by 90% unless you've knocked him down recently, the special 2 and the special 1 are basically identical when it comes to keeping the protection down, because both of them only require you to gain a bar of power. The special 1 uses a bar of power but doesn't give anything back. The special 2 uses 2 bars of power but instantly refunds 1. So it effectively also costs a single bar. So that's why once we get there, we're just spamming that over the special 1, even though the special 1 has more hits. If we really thought that if this health pool was small enough that we were banking on a heavy being the big way we would close it out, then I would be a little more focused on the special 1 because building up to a ton of side charges has real value. Again, the more hits you land when they're at 0 power, the more charges you build up, the more damage you eventually do on your heavy. But because I didn't have that math, I hadn't done it beforehand, and I'll be honest, I didn't want to pause this recording during a special 3 and go do the math and interrupt it, because I knew it was going on YouTube. We're playing it a little more cautiously here, and that means that there's really no downside to going for the special 2 like this. Again, notice just how much we are healing back up from willpower. Psylocke does not block well, she does not have a lot of health. She's actually, as far as I know, the only champion in the entire game with a negative perfect block chance. So you're not going to see any random zeros throughout this fight. But she's healing up. We are manipulating the AI as much as we can to bait out those heavies or to just flat out intercept. Either one is fine. And because of the other part of Psylocke's kit, the fact that when the opponent is locked at 0 power, she crits more often and for larger critical hits, we are really chipping away at it. Like, don't get me wrong, 500 hits, not my idea of a quick fight, not anyone's idea of a quick fight. But we are making meaningful progress, and unlike last week's boss, we don't have to worry about him healing. We just have to keep him locked down, because what makes this fight scary is the idea of him throwing specials. And so as we get into the last stretches of this fight, I'll talk about some other options. One of the easiest is definitely Symbiote Supreme, who satisfies the symbiote objective for Paragon summoners. Now, I've seen some comments, and this came up in my stream, saying, well, why did Paragon get the easiest solo objective? And keep in mind, it is the easiest, but it is also an objective for which there is only one answer. If you fight him with any other symbiote, Venom, Venompool, Venom the Duck, you're going to have some rough times. The way this kit is set up is going to make it extremely difficult with any other symbiote. I'm sure we'll see solos throughout this week, but it's not a realistic option for most people. And so if you had like an early Thronebreaker account with only one rank 3 who had just finished Act 6, and you asked them to take this fight down with a symbiote for the full share of the rewards, that would sit pretty poorly. And so I think Kabam definitely made the correct call giving Paragon the symbiote objective, because even though if you have a Symbiote Supreme, it's super easy, relatively speaking, you have to have Symbiote Supreme. If you want tips on that fight, I am going to link my stream from earlier today in the description, and you will see me figuring it out, because I do not play Symbiote Supreme very much. I basically just took him up for the Karina's challenge with the Symbiote team. But you'll see me make some mistakes early on. I will talk through what those mistakes are, what I fix about it in my approach, and then you will see the final solo, which is extremely clean, and that's what you do. The fight's easy. You could literally do it with a 4-star. So Psylocke takes that down, and then if you don't have Symbiote Supreme, if you're not Paragon, but you can get this down with another mutant, like maybe Havoc or Strife, I will link my fellow officer from SSX Nerds channel in the description. He just released a video where he took it down with Strife. Then that opens you up to just clear the fight with Clairvoyant, because she's tagged Denial. She is an excellent answer for that. Magic is also tagged Denial. So is the original Scarlet Witch, if you have her as a 5-star, or even as a 4-star if you're really patient and you want to heal her back up. Any of those options will satisfy the Denial one, and because they are mystics, just simplify a lot of the pain points of the fight. You don't have to worry about dying just because he's throwing specials, etc. You can lock down the specials. Would highly recommend any of those 3. So I will link those videos in the description. Hope this one was helpful to you. I fully expect a lot of you to not use Psylocke for this fight, because this was not quick, but it really is a good case study in AI manipulation, and for some of y'all, she may be one of the best options, and she fulfills both non-symbiote objectives, so that's both of the objectives for Thronebreakers. Again, hope y'all enjoyed this. I will be mostly streaming 8.1 to get the beta down this week, so join me on there. I do tend to announce my streams on Twitter. If you have not followed me, that is also in the description. But until next time, thanks so much for watching, and take care.